All right, let's jump right in. We all think we know Benjamin Franklin, right? The founding father, the diplomat, the guy on the $100 bill. But what if I told you that for most of his life, that's not what he was famous for? Today, we're going to meet the man his contemporaries knew, Benjamin Franklin, the scientific superstar. I love this quote from the historian Carl Van Doren. He called Franklin a harmonious human multitude. I mean, what a perfect way to put it. It gets at the sheer scope of the man. He wasn't just one thing. He was a writer, an inventor, a statesman, a philosopher, all rolled into one incredible person. Yeah, that's the picture most of us have in our heads, isn't it? The wise old guy with the glasses, signing the Declaration of Independence. But here's the kicker, the really fascinating part. All that political stuff, that was actually the last chapter of his life. It's not where his story begins.
So let's pull back the curtain and meet the Franklin you probably don't know. The one whose reputation was forged not in the halls of government, but in a laboratory. Seriously, I am not exaggerating. Before he was an American revolutionary, Benjamin Franklin was a global celebrity, famous across Europe as one of the greatest scientific minds of his time. They called them natural philosophers back then, and he was at the absolute top of his game. And you don't have to take my word for it. Look at this. This is his actual certificate of election to the Royal Society in London. We're talking about the most prestigious, most elite scientific group on the planet. And get this, look at the date, 1756. That's a full 20 years before the Declaration of Independence. His scientific fame was already rock solid. The certificate itself says he was chosen because he had, and I'm quoting here, very eminently distinguished himself by various discoveries in natural philosophy. This wasn't some honorary degree, you know. This was the real deal, a recognition of absolutely groundbreaking work. So what exactly was that work? Well, it all centered around one of the most mysterious, powerful, and frankly, terrifying forces of nature they knew, electricity. And specifically, its most spectacular and deadly form, lightning. You see, Franklin didn't just dabble in electricity. He completely changed how we understand and even talk about it. Before him, the thinking was that electricity was two different fluids, but Franklin had this breakthrough idea. What if it's just one fluid? He said an excess of it is positive and a lack of it is negative. Just stop and think about that for a second. The words positive and negative charge that we use every single day, they come directly from Ben Franklin. And this new theory led him to ask a really bold, almost crazy question. He's in his lab making these little sparks jump from a glass tube, and then he looks out the window at a massive thunderstorm, and he wonders, wait a minute, are those two things the same? I mean, how could you possibly prove that the awesome, destructive power of lightning was the same stuff as a tiny little spark? Well, his plan was as clever as it was dangerous. He came up with an experiment that would go down in history, the thing that would truly make him a legend. Okay, so these are his actual instructions. And what's so cool is that this wasn't some crazy, reckless stunt. It was a really carefully thought out experiment. First, you make a kite out of silk so the rain doesn't destroy it. You attach a sharp wire at the top to attract what he called electric fire. Then you fly it with regular twine, but, and this is key, you tie a silk ribbon to your end of the string. That silk is your insulator. You fasten a metal key right where the twine and the silk meet. Finally, and this is the most important part, you stand undercover, like in a shed or doorway, to keep that silk ribbon nice and dry. Then you just bring your knuckle close to the key and see if you can draw a spark. The goal was to collect the ambient charge, not to get hit by a lightning bolt. And it worked. It worked perfectly. He brought his knuckle to the key and zap! A spark jumped. He proved it. For the very first time in human history, someone had demonstrated that lightning was just a massive form of electricity. The news of this discovery just exploded. It spread like wildfire and made Benjamin Franklin an international celebrity overnight. So this is where we need to clear up that famous myth. You know, the one you see in all the cartoons. Franklin was not standing out in the middle of a field while a giant bolt of lightning zapped his kite. The reality was way smarter and way safer. He was undercover, and the kite was just pulling in the static electricity from the storm clouds. A direct strike would have, well, it would have been the end of him. He was a brilliant scientist, not a daredevil. But Franklin was no one-hit wonder. After he basically tamed lightning, his incredibly curious mind just kept going. He started applying that same scientific, problem-solving approach to all sorts of other challenges, big and small. And this just shows you the incredible range of his brain. On the one hand, you've got the Franklin stove, a brilliant piece of practical engineering designed to heat homes more efficiently and with less wood, a real-world problem solver. And then on the other hand, a magic circle. It's this super complex mathematical puzzle he just made up for fun. It shows you how his mind could jump from the super practical to the purely theoretical, just like that. I mean, the list of his other contributions is just mind-blowing. Got tired of switching glasses to read up close and see far away? Bam, he invents bifocals. His brother was suffering from kidney stones? He invents the first flexible urinary catheter to make him more comfortable. Wanted mail to get from Europe to America faster? He charts the Gulf Stream. He studied meteorology. He studied how oil could calm waves. The guy's curiosity was just relentless, a true polymath. But here's what might be the most amazing part of all. He could have been fabulously wealthy from all these inventions, but he never patented a single one. Not one. He firmly believed that if you came up with something that could help people, you should just give it to the world freely for everyone's benefit. And it's that philosophy, that dedication to the public good, combined with his rock star scientific fame, that would become his secret weapon. His superpower, really, when he took on the biggest mission of his entire life. Okay, picture it, 1776. The American colonies are in a desperate war against the British Empire, the biggest superpower on the planet. They have one shot, one hope for survival, getting France to join their side. And who do they send to pull off this impossible mission? A 70-year-old Ben Franklin. So what was his secret weapon in Paris? It wasn't just his political savvy. A French nobleman at the time, the Marquis de Condorcet, wrote that it was Franklin's scientific reputation that gave him this profound and lasting influence on public opinion. Basically, his science fame was his golden ticket. When Franklin arrived in Paris, he wasn't just another colonial diplomat in a funny hat. He was the Benjamin Franklin, the man who tamed lightning. To the French, who were at the heart of the Enlightenment, he was a living legend, a symbol of reason and discovery. And that celebrity status, it got him into rooms and in front of people that no ordinary politician could ever reach. It was that influence that ultimately secured the French alliance and won the American Revolution. So, when you step back and look at his whole life, you start to see this incredible legacy, one that's so much bigger and more connected than just founding father. For Franklin, you really couldn't separate the scientist from the citizen. They were the same thing. The way he thought as a scientist, observe a problem, come up with a theory, test it, and then apply the solution, that's exactly what made him such a great statesman and diplomat. His scientific mind made his public service better, and his desire to help people gave his science a real purpose. He once summed up his entire philosophy by asking himself a question: what is serving God? His answer was simple: it is doing good to man. And really, his life is a challenge to all of us. It makes you think, doesn't it? In our own lives, with the knowledge and curiosity we all have, how can we follow his example?